For all of us, it's about predicting where the consumer is going and getting half of it right.
One of the things we want to do is create ads that don't suck.
Embracing change creates great possibility.
I'm Alan Hart, and this is Marketing Today.
Hi, I'm Bill Beck from Whirlpool Corporation, and I'm the Vice President of Brand Marketing.
Well, Bill, congrats on the Effie
Thank you.
Care Counts.
Thank you. We are very excited to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about the campaign.
Yeah, it's a great campaign. Actually, what I want to do is back up and talk about kind of the origination of what we're doing with Whirlpool, and then that'll kind of explain what's happening with Care Counts. About 3 years ago, we introduced a new campaign for Whirlpool called Everyday Care. In fact, last year we won the gold for the Renaissance, turning a brand around at an Effie a year ago. So it's great to be back here with the same campaign, but an extension of that. But to kind of set the stage, 3 years ago we realized that we needed to break through in the appliance category. If you looked at it, appliance advertising was very much the same. It was feature-driven, price-driven. If you put an ad in front of a consumer, you asked them what it was, they'd say, I don't know. Maybe it was for a Whirlpool, maybe it was for a competitor, so you were basically advertising the category. There wasn't any true meaning behind why I should buy a Whirlpool. And so we went out and really understood, okay, how do our appliances play a role every day with our consumers? And as I joke around with a lot of people, if I took our appliances away from you, you'd be pretty mad. You know, we wash your clothes, we keep your food cold, we help you cook dinner, we clean your dishes, but the appliances don't get a ton of credit for that and the role Whirlpool plays in that. And so taking that challenge of how do we break out from this, what we'll call the sea of sameness, and really get into some emotion behind the Whirlpool brand, we understood that role that we play in households. So we went and looked at the kind of care that you give every day, whether that's for yourself or your family, whoever that may be, and the role that the appliances play into that. And really dug down and studied chores and studied care and looked at it and said, you know what? Every day you're helping take care of your family. And so the ability for our appliances to really participate and help you do that was kind of the genesis of where we started getting the ideas going. We also wanted to make sure everyone understood that we know what real life's like. So lots of times you see advertising and it's very glamorous, you know, great life. If you look at our commercials or anything that we have online as well, it's very much about real life family and real life situations. So that combination of we've been studying you, we understand what your life's like, we've got these fantastic appliances that can help you get through the day, had us come up with the idea of everyday care. But one of the things we understood is, okay, that can be an ad campaign. If we were going to double down and really stand for care, it has to be much more than a TV campaign or what you put on your website. And so we challenged our teams to really look into the importance of care. And so little facts like talking at the dinner table with your children helps improve your GPA and vocabulary, little fantastic things that care and chores don't give credit for, or kids that are doing the laundry every week and what that helps build up. So we started going down this road of understanding that role. And as we went down into that journey, we came across a really interesting fact that a reason why kids don't go to school is because they don't have clean clothes. Which was pretty amazing. I was like, wow, that is one of the top reasons for truancy in America, is the fact that they don't have clean clothes. And when you kind of think about that and you dig into it, you realize that there's a lot of schools out there where there's an opportunity to help. And that actually is, you know, the administrators are feeding that back to us. So a year and a half ago, we put a washing machine in St. Louis, in their school districts, and in a couple of them, just to test out the theory. And lo and behold, as we've done that, we have seen not just the school attendance rates go up, but the environment, the whole academic process and everything that's happening in those schools come to life in ways that we never thought possible with an appliance. From that, the Care Counts program has started. And what we've done since we did that test is we've put the appliances in 30 different school districts, and we've been continuing to evolve and grow that program and really help underprivileged students and underprivileged families bring their clothes to school, wash it, and just have a huge, huge impact on their attendance rate, on their academics, and overall just vibrancy of the school. And it's just been an amazing program. we're doing it because it's the right thing to do. You can see how it started from our campaign challenge of what we had a couple years ago, but I'm a huge believer if we're going to be a purpose-driven brand, you've got to not just talk about it, you've got to act that way too.
And you've got a team behind you as well at Whirlpool, as well as agency partners. How did all of them play a role in making this come to life?
Absolutely, it's a great question. We're very lucky to have great agency partners. We work with Digitas as our agency of record. We also use Ketchum from our PR and social aspect. And we also have a partnership with Teach for America, which we just announced a couple weeks ago. The campaign and what we've developed has really been in partnership between, I'd say, Digitas, Ketchum, and Whirlpool. All of us getting aligned, and the great part is that work we did 3 years ago kind of set the North Star and the vision for the brand. So it was very easy to get aligned behind what was the right purpose and the right activities we wanted to go after. What we've learned through this whole process is it's not as easy as just dropping a machine inside a school. You know, you think about your home, you've got a dryer vent, you've got water lines for your washer and dryer. Well, you need to make sure you put that into the schools as well and think through that process. And so from an infrastructure standpoint, getting it into the school, helping the educators learn how to use the appliances, and then getting the data back. And doing that in a very thoughtful way. Obviously, we're dealing with children, and we want to make sure that we're managing all that in the way that we need to, but getting that data so that we could prove to the world this great fact, which also then gives us the case to go back and say, we have an opportunity to make this even bigger. And that's where our partnership with Teach for America has come into play. We needed help in terms of going out to the schools. I'd love it if we could be in every school. I'm not sure if that'll happen right away, but we'll be able to go from 30 schools to continuing to increase to those different school districts with the help of Teach for America from an infrastructure standpoint.
And so winning an Effie is about marketing effectiveness. How do you define marketing effectiveness?
It's a great question. The first thing I always tell everyone, you got to feel it in your gut. It's one of those things, when you see great work or great ideas, there's just something inside you that, yes, that nails it. You might not be the target audience, but you know what? That nails it. That probably isn't enough to tell my leader or my boss and let him know, okay, I felt it in my gut, it's the right thing to do. And so what we do at Whirlpool before we launch campaigns, and more for the Everyday Care campaign, from an effectiveness standpoint, we went in and we looked and we worked with a company called ZMet to really understand kind of the reactions that consumers were getting as we talked about the role appliances play in their lives and the credit that Whirlpool could get to make sure it was believable and they understood it. And that's how we tested the idea. We've then gone into your traditional brand link testing, which, as you know, everyone loves when we do that. But we wanted to make sure we were getting credit for the work. And then we continually use ad tracking and brand health each month or quarter to track all of that, to make sure that we're getting the work so that you're qualifying what your gut is feeling. For the Care Counts program, as I said, this was something because it's the right thing to do. And so the metrics were a little bit different. It wasn't about the video that you've seen or the way we've been able to talk about it. That was a nice thing that we've been able to do. It was really about, are we making an impact on the lives of those children and the folks that are participating in the program? And so we worked on with a professor at Brown University so we were kind of staying away from it to help us study those facts and understand and look at the data. And the data said, and as we've kind of proven out, it was very effective. And so from that perspective, that marketing effectiveness showed, okay, there was a great idea, the data was correct, let's expand it. From a campaign perspective in the Everyday Care, it's very much more of your traditional analytics testing that we do.
So I always love to get to know the person sitting in the other chair.
Yeah.
So I've got kind of a little bit of a deep question here, but you've achieved a success in your career. You know, is there a moment in your life that kind of defines who you are today as a person?
I'm not sure if there's a moment. I kind of looked back at it and I think I've been very fortunate to have great mentors or bosses or coaches. I grew up rowing crew. That's been something that's been inside me from literally the only sport that I know how to do. You watch me throw a ball, it's a disaster. But from my coach, who kind of instilled teamwork and the ability and really pushing yourself to new limits, to a boss who literally taught me about feeling it in your gut and making sure that you don't just talk yourself into answers. I think many times we can look at a piece of paper and say, yeah, okay, we'll approve it. And the odds are you're not going to like those results. To individuals that I've been able to work with, every day and being inspired by great work that's out either within our four walls or outside. So it's hard to say if there was a moment. I'm very grateful for everyone that I've been able to interact with. I grew up, my dad was a doctor, my mom was an Episcopal priest, so there was no marketing or business going on at home, but my grandfather was in business, and I always respected him and said, hey, I want to be like him. So it was a fun growing up, and continue to grow and have a lot of fun too.
Is there a favorite part of the job you've got now?
The favorite part is working on, we have Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, Manna, Genair, great brands. And so you get to wake up every day, and part of the reason why I came to Whirlpool was these are these iconic brands, and you get to work with them, and you get to do really, really neat things. I think if you had told me when I walked into Whirlpool that you and I would be talking about putting laundry machines in the schools, I'd be like, hey, you're crazy. But how cool is that? And the permission that we've kind of earned that right to be able to play in that area. Doing that, working with our team, we're always coming up with new ideas, whether it's product innovations or new ways to talk about it in market. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
I've found that marketers are usually students of the business. What brands do you follow?
Disney. Why do I say that? Well, Disney was the first brand that I truly remember as growing up. It was a brand that I have older sisters, so I was the baby coming along, and our parents took us to Disney, interacting with that brand. And so the reason why I answer it that way is I really respect how Disney has evolved. They're obviously a very purpose-driven brand, but I think about from when my sisters went to Disney to how I interact with it, to what they do with the movies, to the way that they continue to evolve and expand, but they've always stayed true to who they are. And as I kind of use that with my team and explain to it, they've stayed true to their purpose, true to their core, and look what their franchise looks like and the ability to extract value for the company. So I share that because it's a much longer journey than people just saying, hey, I like Disney or I like what they're doing today. A ton of respect for the amount of work that they do every day to stay on course, because I also think that's a hard thing for brands. As many times you get a position and then 2 years later you're going to go here. And then 2 years later, you're going to go there. And so it's one of the ones that, I've got kids now and very much involved in Disney, and it continues to go, and they love it just as much as I did.
And so do you think there's any big opportunities or big challenges that marketers are facing today? What would you point to?
Yeah. I imagine if you ask that question to every marketer. I had one of my first bosses, he's talking about when cable first came out. He's like, oh, this cable is game changing, and it's going to change. And it was game changing, still is game changing. But now we talk about big data and digital and that whole role, and social media, and how that's evolving and being a big impact to how we market every day. I think big data is one of the coolest and scariest things out there. As a marketer, I love it. As a consumer, it's like, wow, you guys know that much about me? And the ability to use that so that you don't violate that pact you have with the consumer. I think that's one of the biggest challenges. We love being able to target our dollars, to be able to talk to the consumer where they are. If they're in market to buy an appliance, I want to talk to you. But you also don't want to get to that point where it's like, wow, wait, why is this always here? Everywhere I look, they're surrounding me with that. It can be very effective and help us get to that end result, but you don't want to get to that creepy factor. And so as everybody gets more data, as connected, as our world becomes more connected, it's just a ton of data that's out there. And we as marketers really have a responsibility to understand how we use that in a way that doesn't turn off the consumer, but also helps us become effective, and at the same time build brands. And I think right now sometimes you can be too targeted and you don't build out your brand and you don't think about the equity of what it stands for. But everywhere you talk, everywhere you look, it's all about big data and connected, and that will be one of our challenges for sure.
What do you predict for the future of marketing? Where do you think it's going to go?
I'm not sure if we're going to be walking around with goggles, but I think the virtual reality, augmented reality, combining that with the data, at least from an appliance perspective, that's going to change the game on how you shop and interact with appliances before you buy. And so this role of the physical store and the digital world coming together in a way that allows someone to interact with things, I think that's still evolving, and you almost kind of see it sometimes with print coming back. So, when iPads came out, everybody's the death of magazines, death of newspapers, and a lot went away. But there's still something to holding a magazine, and now you're seeing that come back. In fact, my team just pitched a whole print campaign to me and showing all that data. Okay, there's a reason. So trying to figure out that balance between the virtual, the augmented, the digital, and what that physical world will look like. I think that's where we're going to go. I don't think we'll all be wearing goggles, but who knows? Maybe we will. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.